seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
So guys, thank you for joining us. What a day we've got in store for you. We've got the Bhoycie bus, Sunday Blether, Celtic Park, and then straight back to the Bhoycie bus in Motherwell. Mark, thank you for joining me, mate. What a day we've got in store.
Oh, I can't wait, mate. We've got Flag Day. We've got the Bhoycie bus live at Bullfrog in Motherwell. We've got Angie's first 11 of the season. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait, mate.
Mate, I'm just buzzing. I'm not away on Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But Mark, I love that top you've got on. I said to you off air, that reminds me of Nakamura putting a free kick and against Manchester United at Old Trafford. What's your favourite memories of that famous Celtic kit?
Do you know, Old Trafford does actually ring a bell. I think Rugby Park, when we won the league. What a day that was.
That was when Nakamura scored that free kick in the last second of the game.
That's right. But I think the memory that stands out for me is, I don't know why, but see Jan Vennegoor's goal at Old Trafford, I think he might have turned Ferdinand and just whacked one in for the corner of the box. And that seems to be the memory I've got of this trip. I don't know if it's maybe because it's a goal that I see quite often on Twitter or whatever, but
Mark, I know people won't want me to mention it, but I see you did mention a certain Mr. Kerry Miller.
Aye, when I put the tap on and you said to me it reminds you of Nakamura, I thought to myself, do you know, I don't know why, but I could just picture Kerry Miller in it. It's like certain strips just remind you of certain players. Like, see the black with the kind of thin green line with the 1998 kit, the stunning kit, that reminds me of Vida Vise for some reason. Kits just bring me back, you know what I mean? And I can't explain it, to be honest.
I mean, I think also a bit of Tommy as well. Tommy was a good night.
Tommy Gravis.
Tommy Gravis.
The list goes on. Gary Caldwell springs to mind. I mean, the least I remember of Gary Caldwell, the better. I mean, that guy did upset my balls at times.
Aye. Well, talking about upsetting the balls, we're going to talk about Celtic. So Celtic are playing today, Mark, at 4:30, Flag Day, and the big exclusive we got during the week is that Callum McGregor will unfold the flag about, and I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, that was an exclusive, mate. This is the sort of access these guys are getting, you know, and it's really fly on the wall stuff for these guys, and it was the most exciting news I've heard.
I mean, you could have made it I mean, you could have made a Netflix documentary and all the stuff they're getting, Mark. I mean, it's.
Mm-hmm.
But
It was almost like, as I say, fly in the wall stuff. It was groundbreaking by these guys, and the way they broke it was like they'd just broken the files on Watergate or something like that. You know what I mean? It was really exciting news for them. I'm glad they had that moment.
so, Mark, the first talking point I've got today in terms of Celtic Aberdeen. So, what do you think the starting 11 will be? Because for me and you spoke about on the show that we're probably going to go into the starting of the season with the same 11, and I think that's going to be the case.
I'd like a wee bit of stick for it, but that's another story. I said on June the 7th, I said the team that finished last season will be the team that starts next season, and I was ridiculed, but to be honest with you, it was just based on experience. We've been there about 20 times before, but listen, I'm not going to make a negative spin on it. I think the team that's going to be starting the day is going to be galvanised, rejuvenated. We've got Hatate looking like he's had a proper pre-season. Maeda looks like he's a bit more sharper on the ball, which is very hard. You know, he's like one of the kind of boys that is attached to a Wayne's tennis bat sometimes. And I think O'Reilly I'm really impressed with that guy. So the midfield's looking pretty strong. Jota looks like he's carried on from his early last season form. He's kicking on pretty well. Kyogo's always exciting. Hart I'm comfortable with, and I'm just hoping that big Bhoycie makes his debut today. That would do me fine. I'd be happy if that was the only addition to the starting 11 this week, because
Do you think
Stephen Welsh would be a bad move, I feel.
Do you think we'll see the big the bus number one favourite, Giakoumakis? Because for me, I know his wife been pregnant, and it's not him that's been pregnant. So surely he's got to be in. He's got to be in the squad for today, Mark.
Well, don't forget he took a personal trainer with him from the club, so he was obviously working that. That's what makes me think that Ange was no wanting any balls being dropped. I don't mean that literally. I think he was wanting the players to keep totally focused on the start of the season, regardless of any personal issues. And congratulations to the guy who had a wee baby boy, I think, or his wife did. And so he's back. He's back in Glasgow, and I hope it was his wife anyway. He's back in Glasgow, and as far as I'm concerned, if he's in the country and he's in the city, then he's available to start. I think Kyogo will start. I'm excited to see him starting. But I think there's certain games that are more physical that I would prefer Giakoumakis to play. But it's for me, it's a luxury decision, because I think either or is a fantastic option for their manager, and it's a decision that this time last year would have but your hand off for me. You know what I mean?
Right, Mark. So I know me and you're big fans of the Coatbridge, Rio Ferdinand and Stephen Welsh. Do you think that do you think that he'll be playing today instead of Julian or Stafford?
Well, I would jump off London Bridge the thought of Stephen Welsh starting there. I mean, Coatbridge, Rio Ferdinand. But I think if he starts, mate. There's nothing that I can do about it apart from spend last night crying and try to get to sleep thinking about it. But if he's going to play, he's going to play. But I just get a wee small hope, because I did see Angie's press conference, and he was asked about injuries, and he just said, other than Starfelt, that Ideguchi is out. Maybe he just lost his train of thought for a minute. Maybe he just forgot that Jens was in the building. I'm kind of hoping that he's fit, because I want to see him play. He's a new player. I want to see his debut, but also Flag Day brings excitement, and it brings like a new energy to the fans, and having somebody making a debut, it kind of it ramps up the atmosphere at meetings a bit more, even further when they're on the ball. The Celtic fans seem to just be totally encouraging, and I don't know, a wee slip at the back or a bad back pass for Stephen Welsh. I don't want any grumbling in the first 5-10 minutes of this match, because it's the first game of the season. Nerves will be flying on and off the field, and I think I'd rather we just put out the best 11 we've got, and if that means that Stephen Welsh just has to get back on the bench, which is fine. I know he's had a lot of speculation this week about him going to France for $3.5 million. I quite honestly, I can't believe there's another team they're willing to spend real money on the guy.
Yeah,
I
me
think
as well. Me as well.
I think he could probably. I don't think he would get a game for the top 4 teams in Scotland other than Celtic.
No.
I don't think he would walk out of Hearts' team starting 11 now. Like, no chance. And he only gets a game for us when it's an emergency. So the fact that somebody's about to pay £3-4 million for him is gobsmacking, to be quite honest with you. But Celtic have obviously got a plan for this guy. Maybe it's long haul stuff. Maybe they're just playing hardball, or maybe they know Julian's out the door in a couple of days. Maybe that's the real case. It don't matter.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Mark, so obviously this is going to be a shorter show than usual, but I want to try and see where you're at, because I'm going to ask you for some pre-season predictions. Do you think so? Who do you think will be the top goal scorer this season, and what do you think about in terms of the title race? Do you think it'll be tight, or do you think Celtic will run away with it?
It'll be very tight. It'll be extremely tight. I mean, the season was defined in very small margins last season. There's key moments that you can look back on, and you can see see actual moments where the season turned. I think Ralston's goal at Ross County, also Abada's goal at Celtic Park against Dundee United. I think it was, or Dundee.
I'm going to say that was the most important goal of the season.
Yeah. Well, it felt like an important moment, eh?
Because for me, being in the stadium, we were touching 91 minutes, and everybody knew that Rangers had dropped points that day to Ross County, 3-3 draw. You could just feel the tension in the stadium.
I was on the Celtic way when Rangers lost their third goal, and you could hear the roar from the Kerridale suite, and I just had a feeling like, you know, like you were in a defining moment. It just sometimes you get that. You just had a wee feeling about it. I can't describe it. And when we scored that goal in the last minute, the stadium exploded. It felt quite surreal. You know, it just felt like a moment. And that's how fine the margins were last year. And Rangers have lost a couple of players, but they've also, I think, brought in some decent quality. As much as people like ridicule them, they bought a £5 million left back and a £4 million player for Liverpool that we were begging to sign for us. So they have improved. They bought a striker in as well, I think. So maybe that spells an outgoing somewhere along the lines for them. Maybe Morelos might get his £400 move to somebody, but I don't know. But in terms of the title race, it'll be tight. I can't see it being any bigger or smaller than last season. It'll be 4, 5, 6 points. Top goal scorer, I think, will be defined by who gets most game time. So that comes down to injuries for me. And Hugo seems a more obvious choice. But he scores 1 every 5 chances. Hugo maybe 2 in every 5. Giakoumakis is 1 every 2, I would say. Or in fact, his stats are even better than that. But he just doesn't shoot a lot, which kind of bumps up his stats. But so if you're asking me if I had to put a bet on top goal scorer, my heart says Kyogo, but I think Giakoumakis has got a 25 goal a season strike rate in him if he gets a game time.
Yep. I'm going to go for Giakoumakis, and I'm going to go for the title race to be won by Celtic by 2 points.
Oh, that is nervy. That's grey hairs and tapping my grey hairs, that.
Just because I think, Mark, that people are underestimating how much Rangers have improved. You know, as much as we don't like to admit it, Celtic improved last year when we lost the 10-0, and I think Rangers have done the exact same. I mean, Rangers have brought a £5 million left back in. They brought in a striker that scored 15 goals in the whatever it was the last time he played, and they brought a guy that played in the Championship in midfield as well. I mean, these are good players. We can't dismiss that.
If you're, I don't think you should be looking over the fence to see what your neighbour's doing and concentrating on them solely. But if you ignore your biggest challengers, then you're asking for trouble. If you're an Olympic athlete or whatever, you've got to look at the competition around about you, and you've got to make sure you're one step ahead, try and gain every advantage you've got. So I think as much as people are writing off Rangers, people are kind of downplaying their chances, but they always do. I've seen folks saying how shite Rangers were yesterday. Do you know what? See if we're shite today and 1-2-1, I'll happily accept that, because it's the opening day of the season and we need to get these points in the bag.
Mark, people were talking about how bad Rangers were. I didn't see any of the game, but what I will say is think about how tricky Celtic have found it at Livingston over the years. Celtic got the first one at Livingston when Tony Blair was the Prime Minister of the country. The smoking ban was still here. So it's okay saying they played terrible, but Celtic struggled at Livingston for the past 5 attempts.
Well, mate, listen, the Celtic support, quite rightly probably in their own mind, and Rangers support, they don't like to give the other team any kudos, you know what I mean? And I mean, I've seen folks saying that Rangers were lucky to get to the Cup final. Nothing to do with the fact that they played a system that suited them and managed to beat three German teams. I mean, we'd be selling DVDs if that was us who beat the teams. I mean, we'd have flags and 50-50 scarves, you name it. No, I don't doubt that for a minute. So let's just get real here. They were a penalty kick away and a miss away from winning the UEFA Cup. You know what I mean? Their greatest achievement, and I think, of this century was getting to Seville. So let's not forget that they're just at the back of that. I mean, there's the narrative around Bhoycie 2 weeks ago was Bhoycie was a guy who only played 5 good games last year. But see today, Rangers the narrative turned into Rangers have lost their best player. So what is it? Somebody who's played 5 good games, or somebody who's or a team who's just lost their best player? You can't have it both ways. So Celtic fans need to make up their mind and where they stand on how good or how bad Rangers are and where they're at. In terms of me, I don't look too much. I don't watch their games, but I take them very seriously. I mean, this is a team that are capable of coming to Celtic Park and taking points. They proved it last season when we were on our peak of our abilities. They came to Celtic Park and got a point. And it was a match that would have sealed the title. When Celtic came out in the second half and just decided that they couldn't lose the match, and Rangers managed to get a draw out of it. So they were happy to take the points over Celtic. So they're capable of doing it. And there was key moments, as I mentioned, in the season last year. They won the 2-1 game at Ibrox. At 1-0 to Rangers. Rangers had a chance when Juranovic tried his best to let Rangers win the match. Arfield was 3 yards out and had the ball over the bar. The fact is, it's 2-0, and it's game. That's game over. That's 2-0 Ibrox. That's game over. Then it's equal points in the title race, and then it turns into real touch and cloth stuff, you know what I mean? And, but we won the match, mate. Went 6 points clear, and that's how tight it was.
Mark, I want to ask you in terms of today, right? Because this will be the first taste for Ange Postecoglou, Flag Day and things like that. But I think this will be a big moment for Ange because he'll come back and he'll say, right, well, obviously last year was great, but this year is so important because I think even as a Celtic channel noticed that Celtic not playing a Champions League qualifier it was so good just to break for the players and just chill out and enjoy their rest. I mean, I don't know about you, Matt, but I wouldn't like to be going into to qualifying this week because you, as much as we think that we're better than the opposition, you still never know.
We've been to qualify. See if we're in a qualifier just now against a calibre opposition that's even equal to us. We've been to qualify just now, mate. I don't think we're ready for European football yet in that terms. I think we'll get to Champions League and we'll take our bruises and we'll come out the other side a lot richer for it and a lot more experience for it. But that Champions League European levels way beyond Celtic, to be quite honest with you. And
aye,
our goal will be to find a way or a navigation to Europa League and see where we can go for that. In terms of Ange's second season, I was looking forward all summer to seeing Ange season 2 to see how this looked. And the reports we're getting is that Ange's second season is always his best season, and so that's exciting. But there was a comment from him that's really concerned me, mate. He was asked about it could just be a throwaway comment. Somebody asked him, but see when Celtic play a team 4 times a season, there's a reason why the third and fourth games are normally a bit more tricky than the first 2. It's normally because it's normally the third or fourth time managers are playing against Celtic's system, so they can kind of cut out certain elements of their game, and they're kind of used to it a wee bit. They're kind of like, they might not get the results, but the games are a bit more trickier. And the reason why that is because it's just experience in playing against the system. Now, he was asked about this. He was asked, how are you planning on combating teams who have seen last season as is a bit of experience against Celtic, and he just said, well, in my career, nobody's ever took notice of what we're doing in the first season, and basically, I'm not going to. Basically, he just kind of brushed off any idea that anybody's going to be getting any inside knowledge on Celtic based on how they played last season, because in his experience, nobody takes notice of how they play. Now, I don't know what level teams are like in Japan and Australia, but when he said that, it did worry me a wee bit, because make no mistake, Hearts and Rangers, they're name mugs, mate, you know what I mean? And teams like Hibs at Easter Road and all that, already have started pretty poorly, but these teams are name mugs. They will learn from their mistakes, you know what I mean? And I'm just kind of hoping there's a four-way statement by Ange, because if he thinks that our team can go out and play the exact same way and nobody will have learned any lessons for mistakes they've made for last season, I'll tell him his face he's wrong.
Yeah, Mark, I now want to get people in the comments involved, so I'll go over to the comments. But what's your score prediction for today, Mark?
Well, I've already said on Friday's Bookie Bashers podcast that it was for me it's Celtic 2, Aberdeen 1. And the reason for that is I've got fears of Welsh at the back. I think he's an unsettling element to the back line, and even at very low level opposition, he's always seems a bit more sketchy than MDLs. And I think with him at the back, there's always a possibility a tug outside the box or somebody turn him in the box and a daft penalty or something like that. And he's about 6 foot, but when he jumps, he's only 2'9", mate. And it concerns me how immobile he is as well. So apart from, I'm not going to put it all on goal, but I can see Celtic losing a goal. Celtic will lose a goal today, in my opinion, but I think we'll win the match.
Sorry, Mark, we've got somebody called Mark Daly coming in the comments. Is anyone worried about Joe Hart?
No.
Because he's worried about Joe Hart getting lobbed during the game.
Well, I'm worried about that, but I've been worried about that since the minute Ange took over. I've said it a few times on the pod. Ange's teams have got a famous history for losing goals. In fact, they lost 2 goals for the opposition's half in one match in Japan. So that tells you that even the first goal got in, when the keeper being 50 yards out, didn't make a bit of difference to how they set up. But we did this last pre-season, mate, and it provides, when Celtic are getting pressed, it provides space for Callum McGregor to step inside and take the ball and turn. So there's actually, the reason why Celtic have the goalkeeper out so far is it provides a relief for the defence when Celtic are getting pressed, or when Celtic are in transition. You know what I mean? He kind of moves out faster. He kind of helps Celtic build up from the back, because he provides an easy pass to get shifted across the back line. So I do think it's a worry for me. But the goal we lost last pre-season there with him, it was a bad pass for Carter Vickers. It's a very, very bad pass for Carter Vickers, and it just happened to him. It'll probably happen to him again before he retires, but
yep.
I'm not getting concerned. He's a really good goalkeeper, and for me, he is number one until there comes a time where he's just not available to do it anymore.
Sorry, Mark, we've got another person coming in the comments saying that they think Celtic will win in the league by 10 points. Scott, that is.
I hope he's right, mate. To be honest with you, that would do me perfectly. I mean, the least drama when it comes to Celtic, the better. So 10 points would do me fine. I just think the margins between the two clubs are extremely, extremely close. And in fact, they're that close that I've not got any gripes for anybody tipping Rangers to win it. I'm a Celtic fan, and I'll never say Rangers are going to win it. But if somebody out there who's a neutral thinks they're going to win the league, I can't sit there and argue with them. The only argument I can give them is I think Celtic starting 11 is as good as theirs, and I think their manager's type of football is electric, and it wears teams down a lot harder in Scotland than what Rangers do. They tend to kill teams off with their determination rather than anything else. Celtic are just frightening to play against. You know what I mean? And I think so. For me, I would take 10 points, and I would take it just now. But As you see, if it's
Aye.
goal difference or 1 point, mate, I'll be delighted. As long as we win it, I don't really care.
Michael says the thing with Joe Hart is he's going to make mistakes, but he's worth it in the team.
That's it, mate. You get a trade-off with anybody, you know what I mean? The trade-off with Kyogo is he's that electric, he gets it in the box and creates maybe 5-6 chances a match that he should score. But the trade-off is, because he is that good, he's maybe only going to score 1 or 2 of them. So you can't have it always. Joe Hart's a commanding goalkeeper. He's like a second captain on the park. He's speaking to Ange constantly through the match. He's talking to his defenders constantly. He can pull off great saves. He calms situations down. And the trade-off is he's in his twilight years. He is going to make mistakes. Some of them are put on him by our tactics. Some of them are just put on by human error. But for me, he's number one choice, and Seagrass is a very good backup.
Yep. Somebody here saying, do you think there's a lack of respect for Leo Abada?
No, I don't think it's a lack of respect as such. I just think it's the guy's found his place. When you've got, if Maeda's into playing the left, Jota's going to have to play on the right, because Jota, first of all, wasn't brought in at that type of money to sit on the bench, but also his ability makes the decision to drop him extremely hard. So if that means Abada has to drop out to be second choice, he is still only 20-year-old, so his age tells you that he's maturing faster than what he has, than what he should be doing, because the amount of starts he's had for Celtic. But it also tells you that he's probably going to be understanding where he is in the pecking order. He's no a 25, 26-year-old seasoned professional that's demanding game time. I reckon he'll understand that he's still at his formative years at the club, and I believe Abada will see a lot of game time for Celtic this season. He will contribute, he'll score goals, but Jota for me is a nail on for the right winging position every week if Maeda's playing the left, that is.
Patrick says 6-0 Celtic because he predicted it on the last day of the season, so he hopes it'll be the same again, Mark.
Well, it was 7-0 in the last game of the season.
Also, it was, I.
So I hope Patrick's right again. I hope Patrick's wrong and right again. I hope Celtic win 5-6-0. I'd be delighted with that. It's the opening game of the season. Optimism is high, and it doesn't cost anything to be optimistic. So I'm up for that. I'll take that decision. I'll take that prediction, and I'll run with that as well. Hopefully he's right.
Steven says he would take the title and a Europa League final this season, lads. No, he says, sorry, it says, what would you rather have, a title win or a Europa League final?
I was wondering, yeah, because I would take J-Lo's knickers off it, but I might not get them. But no, I'd be happy with a European run of sorts. I think as long as we don't disgrace ourselves in Europe in the Champions League, because I think that's quite possible. If we get through to third place and get in a Europa League and maybe get through 1 round or 2 rounds, I'd be content with that. But for me, the goal is always the title. If we win the treble, fantastic.
For me, the goal's always the title, right? But I want to see Celtic progress, Mark, right? And I know we didn't schedule to bring this up, right? But now we've got someone back at the club that's Celtic have stalled in Europe since this guy's been at the club, and that's Peter Lowell.
Well, see, if you invite that guy back into the club, you're going to see a very slow regression in standards in terms of players coming in and the budgets for the managers. We're already seen it this season. We've spoken about it at nauseum. I think the 3 players for last year that were signed up was last year's budget. Let's get that fact, okay? So the very on top of the 3 players, we've got a loan in, a free transfer, and 2 free transfers, a loan, and a £3.5 million prospect. So without the £40 million Champions League money that came in this season, I would dread to see where we'd be at as a club, because if our full budget was based on the £40 million Champions League money, we would have been in some mess had we not had this Champions League money this year. And I don't believe that's the case at all. I think the club's just set themselves up to do just enough again. We got away with it last year. We appointed a manager who was just a cut above what even the board thought he was going to be, and he won the league. We rested on our laurels under O'Neill, Strachan, Rodgers, and we're absolutely just we're just padding the squad out with mediocrity, and the board is going to do it time and time again, especially with Peter Lawwell there.
Mark, see the way I've spoken to people the last day or so, right? And I've said, see the way that Celtic said on Friday that Ian Backyard was leaving, right? See, every time that someone leaves a job, surely you go and look for the best candidate. So clearly this shows me that Peter Lawwell was still in and around Celtic. Obviously, Peter Lawwell was the European board member, but I think it's totally wrong that Celtic don't do their due diligence as a board, because no matter see if you work in business or you work in a radio station or you work anywhere in life, right? You need to get the best candidate possible. So see as soon as Michael see as soon as Backyard is not part of Celtic, this is where Celtic as a club need to act like a big club and not just employ within the club.
Well, you've got nepotism running through the veins at Celtic. You know, you've got coaches that have got lifelong jobs. You've got CEOs, sons in high-ranking positions at Celtic. And look at Gordon Strachan, for talking's sake. I mean, we were looking for somebody to come in and look at the structure of the football side, and we hired a company to go out and scout for somebody to do this, and crazily enough, they ended up at the old Celtic manager's front door, and that wasn't a coincidence. They opened a black book and saw Gordon Strachan.
I just want to bring a comment up from Paddy, who says, did Peter Lawwell not provide us with Ange Postecoglou, Mark? That's what he's put in the comments.
Well, two things there. Peter Lawwell was involved in that decision, but Peter Lawwell spent 4 months trying to get Eddie Howe, fucked that up. Peter Lawwell brought this guy in, and I can assure you, Peter Lawwell didn't know that Ange Postecoglou was the man he was, because see, if he knew that, it would have been first choice for him. And not a panic call at 9 at night when they found that Eddie Howe wasn't coming to Celtic. If anybody thinks, let's get this straight here, mate, if anybody thinks Peter Lawwell is a good move for this club, they are rewriting history. This man was in charge of some of the most disastrous decisions Celtic have made in the last 5-10 years.
Mark, and it's no coincidence that we've not done well in Europe either. I've got a comment here from the bus driver himself. Bus driver says, he says if Peter Lawwell provided us with Ange, but he was supposedly not part of the Celtic board anymore.
Well, this is that. I mean, that's the thing about Celtic, is there's that many myths and stories that you don't know the lies for the truth. You don't know the lies for the other lies, to be honest with you. It's like, no, the board at the time released a statement. Well, tell a lie, it was Dermot Desmond. He interviewed himself. He asked himself questions, and one of the questions was, who's in charge of the interviewing process for the manager? And he said, me, myself, Peter Lawwell, and the new CEO has an input. At that time, it was Don Mackay. But so that tells you itself that Peter Lawwell was making decisions. The fact that he was the outgoing the outgoing CEO, he should have had no role in anything. He should have been, his only role should have been the transition, because if he was making decisions for the new CEO to take over, that would have just spelled disaster for day one. You know, this guy would be taking over. The biggest decision in the football club, apart from like who's controlling things behind the scenes, which is a pretty big decision, is the manager. Before any signings, before who's coaching, the manager is a key decision. Now, the CEO stands shoulder to shoulder with this guy, and if he's standing shoulder to shoulder with a new manager and he's not the man that's picked him, then that's just spells disaster for day one. Don Mackay, for me, looked like, for day one, I thought the guy looked like he wasn't going to last. In fact, I tweeted that he wouldn't last to Christmas that year, and the guy was out the door in October.
Yeah, Mark, but how is Celtic supposed to progress if all they're doing is hiring people they know? That's not the way business works.
Well, why should they, mate? Why should they, mate? Because you've got people on Twitter and people on Facebook saying it's a brilliant decision when we bring guys like Strachan back, and we bring guys like McManus into the first team squad training, and Neil Lennon back. So why should they, mate? Why should they scout for the more expensive, more elaborate guys when they've got an element of Celtic support who are happy getting served up any shite they're given?
Yeah, because...
I mean, why do you want to progress, Reegan? We want to progress as Celtic fans. We want the best players in the park, the best managers in the dugout, and the best board of directors with Celtic at heart. I think we've got one of the three.
But Mark, right? See if in general, right? See if Celtic fans like us, like this podcast, any other person that tries to have a level head and try and say, right, what's happening in the club. I think now the narrative from the club is that things never stop, and I just think that's totally wrong. They're like, people need to remember that Celtic fans are clued up. Like, Celtic fans know.
Mhm.
Like, if you put out all these hashtags like we never stop, we do this. I mean, this is. I just think the way that Celtic board treat the fans is not right. Obviously, Peter Lawwell's a very intelligent man. I'm not disputing that. Like, but I'm saying that for Celtic to move forward as a club, he's not the option. Like,
Exactly, mate. Exactly.
I mean, all Peter Lawwell wants to do, right, in general, is finish ahead of the Rangers. I mean, this is a guy that employed Ronnie Dyler. See, when Rangers were not in the league, Celtic should have progressed as a club and went, right, we're going to go full throttle at this Champions League and going to go for it. But we never.
No, exactly. And the thing is, like, the amount of money they lost for that is probably about $250 million. Then you'd add maybe another 70, 80 million on revenue through merchandise deals going up, etc., etc. But I mean, Celtic's new logo was based on Angie's 3 words at the end of the last season: bigger, better, stronger. And the crowd were in rafters with that. And I'm going to look at that for a minute. Right, so the squad, right, we'll look at the first part. Bigger. We let go of 14 players and brought in 6. So it's no bigger, right? Is the squad better last season? If we replaced Roderick, I know O'Reilly's there just now, but if we replaced Roderick and Beaton yet, nah. So the squad isn't better. We've got a better goalkeeper, right? Backup. So I think the squad's better. You can lie all you want and pretend that the squad's better for last season, but it's no better, right, Reegan? And bigger, better, and stronger. Are we stronger? Well, yeah.
No.
The mentality is probably stronger. I think we've got a team that's had a full pre-season with Ange Postecoglou. I think his philosophy will have evolved. I think he'll have enjoyed every minute on the training ground with the players, and he's maybe had that chance to have his, like last season he didn't have his starting 11 to train pre-season. This year he said he's starting 11. He's picked his start 11 before he starts the season. He's trained them all to get to day one. So he's had that experience.
Mark, sorry to cut you off, mate, but we've only got about 4 or 5 minutes left because we're on a tight...
Sorry, mate. I wasn't going to go on for 4 minutes, mate. I was just going to stop in about 10 seconds.
Because we're on a tight schedule. But yeah, so finally looking on to the Aberdeen game and something more positive around the club. Obviously, Aberdeen, I think they've definitely improved this year. I'm looking forward to seeing them in the flesh at Celtic Park.
Aberdeen always provides you top opposition, mate. See, even when they're... Is that something? Come on, Bhoycie.
Hey! There goes the main man.
Aye.
There's the main man. How we doing?
I'm all right, mate. What's happening?
I'm all good, mate. We're going to be cutting after a few minutes to make sure you're getting yourself organised for this gala event tonight, mate.
Yep, so
that's it.
Make sure you get along, guys, because it's going to be good. And we've got a quiz, we've got a post-match push, we've got so much going on, and we've got some music as well. So it's going to be great, man.
We do. I'm on the different camera there. I've got completely confused. I keep looking over there when I'm over here. Aye, what a night we've got ahead, lads. Good show, by the way.
I can't wait.
What a night ahead. We are going to be at the Bullfrog, Motherwell. We're going to have live music. We're going to have post-match push live with 3 different guests on with myself. We're going to have the Double Down quiz hosted by Jonathan.
Yeah,
we are going to then do a Q&A at the end with myself and Phil McGinley. And there's going to be loads of beer. And we are going to party like it's 1999. Can't I wait?
That's going to be class, mate. I just want to say that. See the post-match push for any Rangers fans watching. It's not a cocktail. So don't be thinking that the post-match pitch is an alcoholic drink. It's our wee spin on post-match analysis. So don't get excited there, guys. Sorry to say that. Bullfrog at night, 8 o'clock. We're all going to be there. Anybody who can make it. So looking forward to that. Hopefully it's to celebrate a brilliant win for Celtic, a 5-6-0 job. But I'll take anything just now as long as the champions unfurl that flag. The sun's beating off that beautiful Celtic strip and the champions win. That's what matters to me.
Definitely. I mean, it would be very, very helpful if Celtic were to get a result. Do you know what I mean?
If you don't mind that, mate. If
Like,
you don't mind, let's get real here.
I feel like yesterday I was really, I was like really worried about the fucking fog machine, right? That was the only worry in my life. Today I'm like, I've not properly contemplated the fact Celtic might not win. Imagine if that happened, and then I was like,
of course they're winning.
We are winning today. I can tell that.
No, but you almost forget that part. See when you get your dressed up to go to like a cup final and you get your flag and you go to the cup final, you almost forget the possibility of them not winning the match. You do, you go, and you do, and it's. I fell on my sword a few times with that. You know what I mean? The Kilmarnock springs to mind, the Rangers springs to mind, and but the day is all about Celtic. And one thing I always say, get into any game that's in Scotland, if Celtic play Celtic's way, they will always win. It's as simple as that. If Celtic turn up the day, don't fuck about. The referee didn't give the opposition a chance. Just quickly on that opposition, I'm glad to see Bobby Mann's not changed his style, because he was in England in his first game, he made an utter arse himself.
Oh, aye.
Yeah, I did see that, Mark. Finally, I just want to say I'm looking forward to meeting everybody that's talking to us on the show, because it's going to be great tonight, Russell, because I think it's going to be so good that we're going to get to see so many people.
I just think it's mad that like the likes of Mark I've never even met Phil. I mean, Phil's been on the bus for like 6 months now, so that'll be weird. And then obviously everyone in the comments that are coming just
I can't wait.
Buzzing to meet everyone, and it will be a party, and there'll be no poetry. It'll be a party, all right?
Make sure you get along, don't miss it.
No worries. See you later. Hopefully see you at the Bullfrog as well. Nice one.
Enjoyed that, guys.
About me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.